Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into something I know a lot of you have been wrestling with. I mean, who hasn't wished for a smoother, maybe even, dare I say, enjoyable hiring process? And it looks like someone out there is way ahead of the curve. You sent over a mountain of info on this new AI-powered applicant tracking system, Profilytic, website, YouTube explainer, even their pitch deck. Color me intrigued. So let's get to the chase, shall we? What's Profilytic really bringing to the table? Is this hype we can ignore, or are we talking about a real game changer in the HR world? Now, their YouTube video, it kicks off with a pretty relatable pain point: hiring. Ugh, just the word, right? Sifting through resumes, trying to find that needle in the haystack candidate. Talk about a time suck.
Oh, tell me about it. It's the kind of headache that makes you want to reach for the strongest painkillers. And it's not just one industry, it's everywhere. Everyone and their dog is trying to crack the code on hiring, which is why this whole AI and HR tech scene is exploding right now.
And Profilytic definitely seems to know how to talk the talk. Their materials are full of those buzzwords we all know and maybe love to hate. Revolutionizing recruitment, saving time and money. Heck, they even promise to identify top talent fast.
Classic marketing, am I right?
Hmm.
But we're not here to be swayed by fancy words. We want to know the substance behind the sizzle. What's Profilytic actually doing, not just saying?
Right on. So their website, it mentions AI-driven resume/CV analysis, which then spits out an intelligent suitability score and a bunch of key metrics, all very impressive sounding, but I'm curious what's really going on behind the scenes.
So imagine this Profilytics AI is like this super-powered resume detective.
Hmm.
It uses this thing called natural language processing, NLP, for us cool kids to go beyond just the words on the page.
Okay, so it's not just doing a simple keyword search.
Oh, think of it more like the AI is reading between the lines, trying to understand the story those words are telling about the candidate. Like,
Yeah.
are they a closer? Are they a go-getter? You know, those qualities that might not jump out from a list of skills.
I like it that AI is playing detective, but how does that actually work in practice?
So let's say you're hiring for, I don't know, a sales role. The AI might pick up on things like whether they consistently exceeded their targets at their last job, how persuasive their writing style is in the cover letter stuff. A basic keyword search would totally miss.
Yeah, connecting those dots, that's smart. But there's another thing they keep mentioning, this whole non-biased AI insights. That feels like a big deal, especially these days with so much focus on bias in hiring.
Oh, it's huge. And honestly, it's where things get really interesting, but also really complicated. You see, AI can remove some of that human bias we all have, right?
Yeah.
But then there's always but it all comes down to the data it learns from.
So if it's trained on past hiring decisions that were, shall we say, a little biased.
Exactly. The AI might end up repeating those same biases, even if it's trying to be objective. It's like baking a cake with a recipe that's missing a few key ingredients.
Hmm.
You might end up with something that looks like a cake, but when you take a bite, not so much.
So it's not as simple as robots take over and boom, fair hiring for everyone. Gotcha. But it's not just resume analysis with Profilytic, right? They've also got this whole ecosystem they're talking about, a built-in job board, automatic posting to search engines, tools for teams to collaborate. Oh, and of course, making sure all that candidate data stays safe and sound.
All super important pieces of the puzzle. Think of it this way. The job board is like your storefront, attracting talent right to your virtual door. And that search engine integration, that's your advertising blitz, putting your open roles in front of the right eyeballs all over the internet.
It's like they're covering all the bases, from attracting talent to making sure the hiring team is on the same page. But speaking of covering bases, I noticed in their FAQs they mentioned something called malevolent content protection. What's the deal with that?
Ah, that's their line of defense against those digital nasties lurking out there in the wild west of the internet. You know, you never know what could be hiding in those resume attachments these days. It's like having a super vigilant bouncer at the door, checking everything for potential trouble before it even gets a foot inside.
Because you can never be too careful, right? Especially when you're talking about sensitive data like that.
You got it. Better safe than sorry, as they say.
Okay, so far so good. They're checking a lot of boxes here. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. How much is this whole shebang going to cost?
The million-dollar question, right? Because the shiniest features in the world aren't much good if you have to sell a kidney to afford them. From what I see, they've got the usual setup. There's a free trial to dip your toes in the water, a few different paid plans with more features and usage depending on your needs, and then those custom quotes for those bigger companies with deeper pockets.
Yeah, pretty standard pricing structure for this kind of platform. But the real test is, do they actually deliver on those big, bold promises? Are they really revolutionizing the way we hire, or is this just a fresh coat of paint on an old, familiar problem? Time to separate the hype from reality. Revolutionizing recruitment. Is that just a fancy way of saying they've spruced things up a bit, or are we talking about a real paradigm shift here?
It's the question, isn't it? Can AI really shake up the HR world that much? I mean, it has potential, for sure, but is it about to send human recruiters to the unemployment line? Not quite.
So no robot overlords taking over hiring anytime soon.
Not that I've heard. But hey, maybe they just haven't told us yet. Just kidding. But seriously, think of it this way. AI gives us these superpowers, helps us work smarter, not harder. It's not about replacing us. It's about freeing us up from those tedious tasks that suck the life out of hiring.
Okay, so instead of being chained to our desks, drowning in resumes, we're out there like, I don't know, HR superheroes, right?
Now you're getting it. Imagine Profilytic's AI is doing the heavy lifting, sorting through those applications so you've got time to actually, talk to the humans who look promising.
Because at the end of the day, hiring is about more than just matching keywords, right? You want to see if there's a spark, a good vibe, call it gut feeling, call it intuition. That human element is still key.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
And that's where this whole saving slime and money thing comes in. If, and that's a big if Profilytic's AI can actually zero in on the best fits, well, you're not wasting precious hours interviewing people who are never going to be a good match. That's efficiency, and we all know time is money, right?
Less time wasted, roles filled faster on paper. It sounds like a dream come true. But this all hinges on their AI actually living up to the hype.
Exactly. That's why that free trial they're offering, it's not just a marketing gimmick. It's your chance to see if their intelligent suitability score actually aligns with what you're looking for in a candidate. And don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. How do they calculate that score?
All right.
What kind of data did they train their AI on? Transparency is key.
Their pitch deck, it really hammers home this whole identifies top talent fast thing. I mean, doesn't every ATS on the market promise that?
Yeah.
What makes Profilytic so special?
You're right to be skeptical. It's easy to throw around buzzwords. But here's where Profilytic could be different. It's about the sophistication of their AI. We're not just talking about matching keywords here. Think, analyzing tone, picking up on those subtle cues about experience and skills that might not be obvious at first glance. Who knows, maybe even predicting how well someone would jive with your company culture.
So it's like, instead of just skimming the surface, they're diving deep into each candidate's profile.
Now you're getting it. But again, it's all about seeing the proof. Don't just take their word for it. Ask for evidence. Do they have case studies? Testimonials from companies like yours. Seeing is believing.
Okay, let's say you're in the market for a new ATS right now. What's your next move after hearing all this about Profilytic?
First things first, a little introspection. What are your biggest hiring headaches? Is it that initial deluge of applications?
Yeah.
Scheduling nightmares? Or maybe just getting everyone on the team on the same page? Identify your pain points. That's step one.
So figure out where it hurts and then see if Profilytic actually addresses those specific issues.
Bingo. Maybe you're struggling to attract a diverse pool of applicants. Does Profilytic's approach to bias actually hold up in the real world? Or maybe you're drowning in resumes from people who are totally unqualified. Can their AI actually weed out the noise and help you focus on the good stuff?
And those are the million-dollar questions you'd take straight to Profilytic.
Absolutely. Don't be shy. Ask for those case studies, those real-world examples of how their system has actually moved the needle for businesses like yours. But most importantly, take the platform for a spin. Use that free trial, plug in your own data, your own hiring criteria, and see what happens.
Love that. Kick the tires before you buy the car.
You got it. AI can be a game changer, but it's not one size fits all. It's about finding the right tool for the job and being an informed consumer. Don't buy the hype look under the hood.
So all this talk about AI, it seems like the future of hiring isn't about robots taking over. It's about, well, giving us humans better tools to do what we do best.
100%. It's about augmenting our abilities, not becoming obsolete. Because even with the most mind-blowing AI, there are some things technology just can't replicate.
Like that gut feeling you get when you're talking to someone, right? That sense of whether they'd be a good fit, not just for the role, but for the team, for the whole company culture.
Exactly. Building rapport, assessing those soft skills, that's where we humans still have the edge. It's something to keep in mind as we navigate this brave new world of AI and HR. It's a powerful tool for sure, but just one piece of the puzzle.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Profilytic, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
AI is definitely changing the hiring game, but it's not a magic wand. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used effectively or it can be misused. It's up to all of us to be informed, ask critical questions, and make sure we're using these technologies in a way that benefits everyone.
Don't believe the hype. Look under the hood, kick the tires, and see if it's the right fit for you. Great advice. Thanks for taking this deep dive with me. And for our listener, keep those questions coming. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of emerging technologies. It's like they can handle the logistics, but when it comes down to it, we're still the ones making those judgment calls. Like, do I actually see this person thriving in our company culture?
It's that human element, right? And that's what makes this whole thing so interesting. AI is giving us these incredible tools, but it's also kind of forcing us to ask, what makes us human? What are the things that even the smartest AI can't replicate?
Yeah, it's making us better at being human in a way. By taking over some of those tasks, it's freeing us up to focus on those uniquely human things like building relationships, trusting our gut.
Totally. It's not about replacing humans. It's about augmenting what we do best.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exciting.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Profilytic, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
AI is here to stay. It's changing how we hire, that's for sure. But it's not a magic solution. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used effectively or it can be, misused.
Right. It all comes back to us, the humans.
Exactly. It's up to us to be informed, to ask the hard questions, to really understand these technologies before we just jump in head first.
Don't believe the hype. Look under the hood, kick the tires, see if it's the right fit for you and your needs. Such great advice. Thanks for taking this deep dive with me.
Anytime.
And for our listeners, keep those questions coming. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of emerging technologies.